I think maybe only one of those are my books.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is it the last one?
Yeah, the one that I shared at our.
Yeah.
Yep. So,
I'm trying to think.
do you have do you have authors you go to?
Now is definitely one I've gone to for a couple things. I'm trying to remember which books I've read by now and though. Other than like Wounded Healer, of course. That feels like sort of the CPE one to read.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I'm trying to remember. Oh, Adam was another one.
Yeah,
I read some of Adam, yeah.
Adam was one of my favorites.
Yeah, I love that it took place like just across the Canadian border,
Mm-hmm.
like at the large community there.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah, I remember my spiritual director gave me a copy of her book, Adam, and at the time I was working as a nursing home chaplain,
mm-hmm.
and it really just struck a chord with me in terms of that kind of emotional investment
Mm-hmm.
you put into somebody, right? And it's it's not just like all the religious-y, spiritually things that you say and do. It's like this kind of embodied like care that you provide to somebody. Like he literally like washed this kid,
Oh yeah.
right? And I just I don't know. Even though that's not something that's been part of my role, I've always embraced the whole like just doing the thing that like can be nurturing to them, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
the getting them a blanket when they're cold and tucking a pillow under their head when their neck hurts, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that's my that's what I love about Henry Nouwen. Those like either contemplative, right? But like contemplation and action, or they go hand in hand.
Yeah.
With him.
Yeah. There was a church I served at in Austin where the ethics professor from my seminary, it was a retired ethicist professor. I think she had lupus, maybe. I feel like that was it. And so she retired early for her condition and whatever, wherever she was, like I think physically. And so she would serve at this church from time to time, but it was interesting talking with her because she knew like several people such as like Henry Nouwen and actually met him personally. And I was like, oh, that's great. She's like, yeah, you don't like him, do you? Because he's kind of an ass. I was like, I'm just going to ask you to not share with me anymore. I was like, don't ruin it for me, please. She's like, oh. He's like, I sometimes do that for people.
Oh wow! So she had met him.
Yeah, she had met him and did not have as a I'll say a colleague in her profession of ethics did not like him.
Wow.
I know. I was like, really?
Oh man! Yeah, don't tell me anymore.
Exactly. I was like, I don't want to know anymore.
Well, I know like we are humans, right?
Exactly.
Like, we are faulty people. Like I am not everybody's cup of tea.
Mm-hmm.
No? So, but anyway. Well, I just want to say, I know you've done the supervision, these one-on-ones before, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, so just, the format, I'm pretty sure you're probably familiar with it. But, yeah, just how you doing? And, let's start there.
Good. I think I'm doing good. I've just been, like I said earlier, I've been kind of overwhelmed by just the new schedule right now. And I think after next week, I'll be kind of settled into things and saying okay, now I have a routine. Now I know how to work around it.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, it's just every day is just going until I hit a brick wall.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's just been, and especially yesterday. Yesterday was, everything at the hospital was great, but it was like leaving. I remember looking at my clock in the kitchen and was like, fuck, I gotta leave now. Because it was maybe 7:25, and I was like, yeah, I gotta get going right now. And just darted out the door, got in traffic, made it over there, and then I think my badge and all that is still not working. But Bill's on that. It's getting into the parking lot and leaving the parking lot. It works for everything else, but the parking issue is the one thing that's been and mostly every attendant I've come across has been oh yeah, it's fine, go ahead. But I'm just waiting on the one that's gonna be no. And so I went to Bill yesterday and was like, hey, I'm a little worried. He was like, oh, we'll just get you a button. So he gave me a stack of things to get out. I was like, okay. He's like, you shouldn't have to pay here. So until it gets worked out, I was like, I'm sure this will be fine.
Yeah, he's cool that way.
Yeah, he was really cool that way.
Yeah.
But then when I left, I got in traffic going back to the church. I was a little bit pissed. I was like, well, this should be like 15 minutes. And it was like, no, it'll be 25. I was like, so I made it to the church. We had our senior leadership meeting last night. And so I met with our church council to kind of talk about some things and go over stuff. And I've been trying to work with some of my senior leadership, because whenever they do their meetings, they like to put like everything they can think of, everything that comes to mind. They try to put every little thing on it. Yeah. And we just never have time to talk about everything. And like last night, we went 45 minutes over our allotted time. And I just was like I had already hit that wall at 8 o'clock when we should have been done, and was just like trying to hang in there. And at that point I looked up at the clock and I was like, I have been doing this for over like 13 hours now. I'm done. Like, I'm done. Yeah. And they were trying to rehash some like other issues of things that they've just done like circles around over and over again. And I was like, guys, we are past the limit. We need to go ahead and end our meeting. Yeah. And just trying to hold them accountable to that. And they were like, okay, so should we say the Lord's Prayer? I was like, yes, let's say the Lord's Prayer. And then I just walked out quietly. It was like, I don't want to talk to anybody. I'm done. Yeah. Like, I am peopled out. Yeah. So there was that. And so today's been great. Is this going to be like the schedule on most Thursdays? It's going to be something similar to this, because it's fantastic. Yeah. It's what I needed. Like,
yeah, I think that's why we're intentional about building self-care into the learning program, because self-care is important. I've had to utilize self-care all the years I've been doing this work. So I wish there was more of this in my residency when I was doing it. So yeah, that's the pattern.
Yeah. So I'm grateful for it. I think it's good. And like I said, today was just kind of nice, like coming in and being like, oh God, we don't have to be anywhere right now. Like, that's awesome. And so I was like, one thing that would give me a peace of mind was like 3 or 4 emails that I had gotten since last night. And I was like, if I can just get that done, I'll then start doing morning prayer. And I did that. It was good. Yeah. And then Coco came in, we started chatting. Yeah. And so that was good. Yeah. Felt really nice.
Yeah. How are you experiencing the group?
So yeah, I like the group. I'm trying to think. Coco and I feel like have really connected on some good level there. Sylvester, I kind of would like to get to know more. I feel like he's kind of just off in the corner doing his own thing some of the time. Yeah. And then Dana, I don't know what to say about Dana. He just hasn't been around as much. But I like him. So yeah. I hope he comes back. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Forming a group is, I think, it's an interesting endeavor, right? So your first unit, was that in person? Your first unit of CP?
Yeah, all of mine have been in person.
And the last one was also in person? Oh, okay, for some reason I was thinking it was online.
Well, the virtual stuff of having group was more like online. Okay. So like we would meet every Wednesday virtually, but we would get together in person at least 3 times. Okay. I think throughout the whole unit. Yeah. I didn't want to say semester because it was actually like a year. And so yeah, but then the other elements to it were really like, I think Marianne and I would probably do supervision online mostly, but she came and did it in person a few times as well, because I was in Rochester for that, so she could come and see me.
Okay. Yeah. So were you were in Rochester with Marianne, and you were doing it was pastoral, right? Congregational based?
Yeah, it was congregational based.
Right. Okay. And you were at a congregation in Rochester? Please forgive me, because I know I'm trying to remember your story, your timeline.
No, that's right. I was at and yeah, my timeline is very, like, I think we were having a conversation yesterday with people, because somebody was like, oh yeah, Allison, she was saying something about like she's only lived like 3 years, maybe the longest in one place. I was like, I think I've lived 4 years, and I couldn't remember where it was, and now I was like, oh, it was when I was back in Starkville, Mississippi. But yeah, so yeah, I had a congregation in Henrietta, which is the west side. So I was there in that part of Rochester, which made a bit of a commute about an hour and 10 minutes door to door, but I only had to do that like 3 times a week, so it was manageable.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I know Henrietta.
Yeah, when I say it, some people are like, either you know it or you know nothing about it. And it's like, well, I mean, there's like a couple signs here and there, but that's about it.
Mhm.
So, like,
Well, I went to school at Roberts, West St. College.
okay, so yeah, like around the corner from there.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, we would go to Henrietta for various things,
Mhm.
movies and
Mhm.
shopping and whatnot.
Yeah.
So yeah, you never know. So okay, so obviously you've done the CP, and your first unit of CP was, I'm so sorry, please forgive, again, please forgive me, was in seminary, correct?
So while I was in seminary, for all of us on the Episcopal track, seminary usually requires you to do 1 unit of CPE.
Okay, that's right.
Yeah, towards ordination.
Okay. So how have the two, and maybe early on in this third one, like how are they similar? How are they different? I'm curious because this will be good for me to know.
Yeah, no. So I mean, it is weird for me because like everyone, instead of having like a residency where like your other units are all like one great big thing, mine have all been different settings, different environments. At least now 2 are going to be in the same state, so there's that. But I'm trying to think. My first unit was in St. Joseph, Missouri. I knew absolutely nothing about St. Joseph. I was just a poor seminarian, and the only reason I went there was because I literally got on the ACP website and was like, which ones have free room and board? And so, just so happens that and like one other place in North Carolina were like the only 2 options, and I said, all right. So I went ahead and chose the one in Missouri, sent off my application, and got accepted for the summer, and drove out there. But that was really the only reason I did the program out there. I had no other connections. I never, other than a couple friends of mine in Missouri, I don't have any connections out there. So I went for that reason. But it was an interesting experience. My cohort there, I was the only guy. Oddly enough, I had a Seventh-day Adventist, an ELCA Lutheran, and a woman who was part of the Unity Church.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I had, like, other than the ELCA person, I didn't have as like much, I think, in common with like styles of things. I happened to get along best with the Seventh-day Adventist, though. I think there was definitely something with the ELCA Lutheran, where I think she had some previous trauma, like with her ex-husband, and I think for some reason she was kind of a more like social justice warrior, and I think she was taking out some of like maybe the aggression on me. And I brought that up in supervision a couple different times. I had some suggestions of like, oh, you thought about like, confronting her about this, and so I tried doing that a couple of times. But even towards the end of the unit, I remember telling the Seventh-day Adventist, who I got along with pretty well, I was like, yeah, I don't really think she likes me that much. And she's like, what are you talking about? Of course she does. I was like, I don't think so. And then there was like one day we had our group sort of presentation we were doing, and she presented on something, and we talked about it. And I might have said just a couple things about it that just struck a nerve with her. And so as soon as our supervisor walked out, she turned to me and like started saying a couple things. And I was like, okay, all right, thanks, I'll work on that. And then she walked out, and I looked at my friend, the Seventh-day Adventist, and she was like, just looked back at me, and she was like, what the hell was that about? And I'm like, don't know, but this is the shit I've been telling you about. Like, I've been experiencing this like half the summer. And so after that, she started seeing some things that I like really confirmed it wasn't just me. Like, there was definitely something there that did not get fully reconciled at the end of the summer. And other than that, there were a couple of like really intense moments in the hospital. It was a Trauma 1 center, and I remember my last night on call, which may have also been like my last official day. I had several things that happened all in a one night shift. Like, I think I had the pager go off like 8 or 9 times, and like the last one was what kept me up from like maybe 3 in the morning all the way up to like till I left the hospital. And that was like what would have been a multi-car pileup, but it just involved one car, and it was like 6 people all in one car. And so I stayed up that whole morning, like working with all these different people who were coming to the hospital and trying to work around HIPAA as best as I could, because people are like coming in being like, is it my child that's in there? And I'm like, could you give me your name? And it was like, well, when we find out when they're awake, like if that's who they say they are or this or that. And they were like, well, who do they say they are? Who do they say is in there? And we're like, we can't tell you that information. So it was a nightmare trying to work around all that.
Yeah.
And so it was a good experience, I think, but it was also a pretty intense summer. And I thought when I got done with that unit, I was like, never again. I'm not doing any more CPE. I'm fucking done with this shit. And when I got to, when I came to Buffalo and moved here and wasn't able to find work, I started talking with Mary Ann and was like, I was like, I might be entering to a new place of discernment myself. I said, I'm not sure what the hell I'm doing, but I can't find a job in Buffalo right now. So I was like, I'm happy to do some more CPE and just kind of see where that takes me. And it just so happens that I also at that time got the part-time job there at the church. And so I was able to use that as part of my hours. And all that worked really well and was really good. And even the group was really good. It was a very interesting cohort. I think we had a little more diversity, which was good. And connected with a few of the folks there. Oh gosh, I just remembered one of those persons has their ordination to the diaconate, I think this weekend. Got to send them a letter. But yeah, so I mean, I just connected really well with several of them, and it was just a totally different experience. I actually enjoyed some of the stuff. I saw how I could get a little more out of it. That helped me sort of see like growing edges for me, and like how I can look at CPE as like, this is more about how I relate with other people, less so than like just relating with other people. And so I sort of got like that sort of perspective from it, which made me realize, I think, a bit more of like the growth and where I can like see strengths and weaknesses. And so having that sort of clarity made me just gave me a new appreciation for it. And so I wound up having a great experience with Mary Ann, and just was open to things after that. And she was the one that told me I should really consider doing some more CP. So I, trying to think, got the job here at the hospital sometime after we graduated and started working here. And I don't know, the more I started talking with people, and actually like you were talking earlier about being a nursing home chaplain, how you get to develop those relationships. And I'm like, that is good, but I have to say, when you have another job, it is kind of nice having one job that you come in, you see people, you feel like you do some work, you go home and don't think a damn thing about it after that. Like there was something about it that was like, I feel like I've accomplished something. And when I go in on the next day, it's going to be all new, completely different slate. I might see some people who are still there, might not, whatever. It's great. Yeah. So I found myself carrying home like a lot less, like sort of baggage from the day. That was really nice. Really appreciated that.
In terms of, what are you contrasting? I'm so sorry.
When you're in relationship with people as like a nursing home chaplain, like there's a lot of that you sort of develop with people. Sure, it could be the tensions that you sort of get, or I think it could be maybe some of the relationships or the heaviness of like when the patient dies, things like that, where like, when you're just kind of in and out of the hospital a lot more, you're not developing quite those relationships.
Oh, sure,
so
sure.
It's not quite that intensity level, and you're not carrying home with you like all those, except when you have like a really like, I'll say like a death that can be a little more intense because of maybe some family involvement or some other emotional reasons why.
Yeah.
But the baggage I carry home with me is just not as heavy.
Yeah.
And there's something about that was really nice.
Sure.
So, because I was like, the baggage at the church, those are relationships I have to have, and that gets to be frustrating, but then not having to carry that back with me on like my Tuesday and Thursday evening shifts was great.
Yeah. Yeah, I think with like chaplaincy, one of the things like I've had to learn over time is, it's a very simple term, right? It's boundaries, right? Like be boundaried. And, whether it's like a nursing home or a hospital, like learning to just leave it right there. Right? And unless I'm on call for whatever reason, it's done. And then I'll go home with my wife, with the kids, be back tomorrow.
I agree. It's like there's something about that I can do more easily in the hospital setting, or as a chaplain in the hospital setting, than I could do with the relationship I have with the church.
Yeah, I don't know if I shared with you. I was a pastor for.
I didn't know that. So what What faith background are you where you were ordained in?
My ordination is Free Methodist.
Okay.
Yeah, Free Methodist Church, and
As opposed to locked up?
yeah, opposed to the locked up Methodists or the costly Methodists. I don't know. No, I'm ordained Free Methodist, and I worked as a pastor at a church for about 3 years, full time, and I did chaplaincy at the same time, part time, and experienced the two of them side by side. And then I was able to come to a point where I knew which one I wanted to do, or the other. But I get that with congregations, with churches, it's harder to boundary yourself. It's harder to disconnect because it's almost all the time. Whether you're part time, you're not really part time. You know. So
no, we used to always say like it's only part time pay, not part time work, and it's so true right now. I mean, I'm just like trying to decide how to tell some of my senior leadership because they'll and I mean one of them is just sending me like 4 or 5 emails at one time on like all different things, and I'm like, I know these are emails, I know I could be looking at these later, but some of them are time pressing that you're sending me, and I can't give you an answer today because I really need to be more fully present in what I'm doing today. If you want me to answer these things, they're going to be after 5 o'clock, and that's just going to have to be the boundary I draw on it.
Now, what are your responsibilities for this church? Is it okay if I ask that?
Yeah, no, sure. I don't mind sharing any of that. I'm trying to think. Right now, I mean, I have all pastoral responsibilities with them. I haven't had like a set schedule necessarily with them because their understanding and their hope was that I had another job. And I'm like, that's great because I've been trying to look for another job. So I'm only there part-time, but they really just kind of need someone who can be there every Sunday. They'd also would like someone to be in the office like 1 or 2 times a week. And that's really been all I've done. Which is why I was talking with Barbara yesterday about scheduling, and I was like, if I could just be in there for a couple mornings once a week, that would really just give me some time with like fresh eyes to be able to go over some of our things and have like 1 staff meeting a week, because that's all I really need to do. After that, it runs itself.
Yeah, it's got its own kind of built-in lay structure.
For the most part, yeah.
Trustees that, you know, leadership that are there.
Yeah, and I mean, some of my senior leadership is really amazing. They've been taking care of like so many things. Like we have a contract with Danforth, which is they take care of our boiler and other things like that and plumbing. And they've just been an absolute pain in the ass to work with, and the service has been absolutely awful. None of this I know firsthand because she deals with it all. She does all that stuff. And so she's been like, other than like trying to respond to some emails here and there about like, we have another couple interested in getting married here, can you set up the time to meet with them? Like, sure. So yeah, obligation wise, it's not been too bad.
Okay. Yeah, I was curious what your responsibilities were there.
Yeah. No, that's really about it. And I mean, if somebody wants to meet with me, I can just be like, great, let's meet on Sunday afternoon after church, or if you want to schedule another time, like now I could say Monday mornings or maybe a Tuesday, Thursday afternoon.
Right.
So.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. So I was thinking, because in terms of like for you, because if it's okay, we change gears a little bit. You're in your second or third unit of CP.
Third unit, yeah. And
you're with a group of interns who are in their first unit. I was just thinking about, again, like, we have a pretty we have a syllabus that's already kind of laid out for the unit that Brian has constructed, and I'll work within that parameter, right? You'll have the verbatims, we'll have the RPR time, empathy lab, right? But I was trying to think for you, because what are some things that I can do to be helpful for you in like this phase of learning? Because you really are in a different phase of learning. And I want to be able to speak to that, like in our supervision times, and I want to be able to support you in that, and like the goals that you've set, things like that. So what are your thoughts in terms of like, what are some ways in which I can be helpful to you for this level of learning?
I'm trying to remember, let me see, goal-wise. You know, definitely with that last one, I thought that was a really good idea you had regarding like being able to attend ethics and palliative care meetings, or
Mhm.
at least participate in some way. I mean, I think you're going to be really helpful in at least helping me connect with some of them. Maybe even some conversation regarding like some things I need to be considering when working with palliative care patients. I'll say some of the areas of palliative care that I'm a little interested in is being able to engage in some of that hard conversation with people. Like that's an area of weakness I think I've had, has been like when working with patients who are palliative care, or maybe working with patients who aren't yet palliative care but maybe should be, and like really trying to help maybe guide some of the conversation with families and nurses, doctors. Is that like, you know, being like, is this something more we can consider? Now I have had like the palliative care, like, you know, whatever thing we do, but like I know there's more that we could be doing with that, and I think there's maybe some more conversation on like how I can sort of help with that, because some of it I do think is me maybe in the moment sort of being like, I think I'm uncomfortable to like bring that up, or I don't know if I want to say that, or so I think there could be some like, you know, conversation regarding the inner dialogue and what's going through my head, and like how I might be able to be more effective in helping like facilitate that conversation.
Sure.
So definitely think you can help me with that.
Yeah. So I think one of the things I think there's a couple ways that we can do that, and I think one of the big ways we can do that is at Mercy Hospital. We have a much larger palliative care census. So I think one of the things we can communicate with Barb and we can work on communicating with the team is like, you know, with wherever your assigned unit is for the day, Lawrence would like opportunities to visit with some of the palliative care patients and families, because we have it pretty structured out where like it indicates who's like palliative care and who's like comfort care.
Yeah.
We actually made the change in Epic so that we could distinguish those things. So my encouragement to you would be to seek out those things, because that's a way that you can actively engage with them. And then I would actually probably recommend like try to focus like your verbatims on that kind of stuff, because then we'd have a group discussion around it, right? So I could obviously I'll give you feedback in the group, but then also your peers would give you feedback. And then again, maybe that's part of like, if you know, one of the things, I don't think you did it today, but we have process reflections.
Yeah, no, I didn't do it today.
Yeah. So
do you want me to go back and do one for today, or?
No, you're fine.
Okay.
Well, next week, okay?
Yep.
Use a process reflection. Maybe you process something that you experienced in a room, and we can talk about it. You know, having those conversations, and because I think a lot of times like sometimes we overthink how to approach these things.
Absolutely.
If we just have
I'm very guilty of that.
If we just have the right cadence, I get it every time. I think I told you earlier when we're talking about visiting with people, like, or maybe I said, I don't remember, but anyway, when about charting, like, there are times where like, I think I got it down and I think I know exactly how to do this, and someone throws me a curveball I didn't see, or somebody responds in a way that just catches me flat-footed. I mean, it's a constant thing in this ministry, this work. So yeah, I think those are some ways you can measure it. I think sometimes we don't always know when this is going to come up in ethics, but they do come up, I think, often enough at Mercy that you might get a chance to be a part of something. This summer, something pops up.
Yeah, I think even that being part of, because may not be able to attend that many ethics meetings or ethics meetings. So being part of, maybe just talking with palliative care people in general and like things they're doing. So I don't know, maybe even setting up an interview with some of the teams about that.
Yeah, maybe we can get you connected with our palliative care providers, introduce you to them. Maybe have you ask some questions, meet them. There's more opportunities with this in terms of just like day-to-day at Mercy. So I think you'll have opportunity there. There'll be a lot of opportunity there. Let me look at some of the other ones here. Evaluate how I give feedback to my peers in a timely manner. And that's outcome 2A 10.
I just put in there not taking too long and letting go.
Not taking too long, let it go. What do you mean by that?
I think I'm one of those persons, like, I'll hold on to something for a while and overthink, like, did they mean that this way? Did they mean that way? Like, how did they mean that? Um, and I think that's some of like the quietness that sometimes I've had like previous feedback on from other units that like I haven't said enough on because there's things that I was thinking and I maybe met over supervision and was talking about a lot of that stuff, and Marianne would be like, you thought about bringing that up and you know, IPR or this or that, and I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. So when I think about like some things like that, you know, I'm fairly comfortable with giving feedback to people. I'm not comfortable with giving feedback that may be may involve more conflict.
Okay.
I'm very like you. I'm conflict avoidant in that regard. I admit that.
Sure. It is always a growing edge, right? And even if it's not something we're comfortable with, right? There is ways that we can grow and stretch ourselves, because I think we want to be more authentically ourselves, right? And be able to communicate in a way that allows people to understand who we are, where we're coming from, so we can understand them and who they are and where they're coming from. But yeah, evaluate how you can give feedback to peers. That could be a topic of like our conversation. If there's something that came up, we can talk about that and think about what are the strategies to to engage further beyond that. Do you have anything in mind right now, or?
No, not right now.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
I mean, I don't feel any conflict coming up.
Yeah. I was when I met with Coco earlier, I was saying maybe if you can think of some bullet points to put underneath these to kind of give you some clear, kind of measurable direction. I would encourage you to do that.
Okay.
Bring that back to me, because I'm big on, writing a goal and then demonstrating how we can accomplish those goals. That was something that I feel like a manager had presented to me when I wrote goals. He wanted to know how I was going to accomplish those goals, what I intended to do. So I would encourage that of you too, because I think if you can kind of drill down a little bit, those are the things we can look for.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Because like I felt like the first one, I just put demonstrate 3 times. I was able to use empathy more effectively with my patients to provide better care, that came from that one. I just thought in the first verbatim I had like a fairly good example of that. I'm not perfect at that skill, but like it feels like a skill that I've suddenly started recognizing, and so since I saw that was on there, I was like, yeah, I would like to hone in on that a little more.
Yeah, because we're always constantly drawing from our personal experiences,
whether or not we're aware of it, right?
Yeah.
And so that was sort of the counter-transference and transference that I was like, I need to be able to recognize that and like how I can use it. So yeah.
Yeah, I actually really want to commend you, because when I was reading that verbatim, I really thought you did a good job, and I think that the fact that you didn't invoke your mother's name. It was your mother, right?
Yeah, it was my mom.
You didn't invoke your mother's name into that situation. That's a hard thing to do.
I did everything I could not to. Like, there were so many times I wanted to be like, okay, for my mom's operation. I was like, I think they would trust me enough if I said, as a chaplain, we see people come out of these situations and we know what they look like. I don't have to mention my mom's situation and what that looked like or how intense that was for me to experience. Like, they can just trust me because basically of the role I'm in.
Yeah. You can lean more into the empathy and feel for them, because you're actually, in a way, you're with them, you're present with them, but you're also pulling from your own experiences, and so you end up feeling more, I think, for them in that regard.
Oh, absolutely.
That's something I've noticed.
Yeah.
In my years doing it, so it's hard though. It's really hard, because you want to be like, oh yeah, I know exactly what you're going through.
Yeah, those dangerous words.
Yeah. And that gentleman's doing okay now?
Yeah, no, when I saw him, he was great. Like, I remember walking into his room and like he was sort of taking a nap, and so I like knocked on the door and just walked in and realized he was kind of curled up on the bed, and I was like, oh no, it's totally fine, you don't need to move. And I realized like he was almost ready to stand up and be like, oh, it's good to meet you. And I was like, you were not standing up 2 days ago when I saw you. Like, It was hard for me to imagine that. Actually, it was hard for me to imagine that because my mom wasn't even moving that quickly. So, and I think that's why I was kind of like, I know it's a different journey for everybody, but I was
Yeah.
like, oh my God. Like I was a little bit more, I think in both situations, like when I was going with them and also when I was seeing him in the room, I was more ready for him to be like more frail, more vulnerable in some way. And that was just not his situation.
Yeah. I'm glad to hear he's doing better.
Yeah. No.
He was at Mercy, you said? Right?
He was at Mercy.
Okay.
So yeah, I'd be very curious to talk when I see them, talk more with them about like how her father's doing and all that.
Yeah, it's interesting when you have like these kind of like dual relationships
Mm-hmm.
and how you best balance them. Because again, I've been there, you know what I mean? And
Well, I mean, it feels like because we work in a hospital, like there is a good chance,
it's a small community.
right? Like, I mean, it's gotta happen at some point in time.
Mhm.
I can't imagine like someone working their entire career and being able to maintain that boundary.
Have you had anybody from your church in the hospital and had to visit
At Mercy.
as a chaplain, as a, yeah.
Yeah, I went over to Mercy. That was the only time, like when y'all were trying to tell me, or maybe it was just Barbara, like, oh, you go to the parking ramp, you do this. I'm like, yeah, I know where I'm going. I'm fine. Like, it was like, not that I've been over there often or many times, but yeah, I had a parishioner who had heart surgery who asked me if I could go over there and like pray with them and like anoint him with some oil. And I said, yeah, sure, I'm happy to do all that. So I went over there and did those things and walked around a little bit to learn where the chapel was and all that, and saw Enoch and John over there. But yeah, so that was my first time like where that had sort of encountered that, where someone asked me like come with them over to the hospital, and just ended up over there. And there's been one other time I've gone to the hospital, but it was at Buffalo General.
Okay.
Which I'd be happy to never do again. Not that it's a terrible hospital, but I just think the parking situation and all that, and where do you go, like all that was just more confusing. So
The parking ramp is Buff General and the Children's. Yeah, and Children's, the new one.
yeah, so if you're looking for one and it's labeled the other, you never find where that is. You just end up parking somewhere on the street.
Yeah, it's a pretty big complex.
It's huge.
Yeah, people
Really huge.
people get confused with like Mercy parking lot, and I'm always like, it's not as bad as some.
It's not that bad.
I remember actually, I've been to, is it Strong? Yeah, I've been to Strong. I've been to Strong for some conferences, like, and that's a sprawling complex, right? And so I parked in there, and I have to like, I've got to commit to memory, like which level, what side, and then like trying to get out is like, am I following the right pathway? One time I ended up on, when I ended up when I wanted to go down. So yeah.
Yeah, I tried. I was gonna try and do the LMFT program there at Strong, or not at Strong, but at the School of Medicine. I don't know why it's in the School of Medicine, but it is. And I remembered when I went over there to the spiritual care offices, I found out that like clergy can get a sort of like chaplain tag, so that if we ever need to like park in that parking lot or any of that other stuff.
Right.
And so when I was looking at like attending classes and whatnot, there was nowhere to park anywhere on Strong's campus. They were like, yes, we have parking spaces that are actually in Scottsville. And I was like, you want people to drive to Scottsville just so they can get on a shuttle bus to take them to the campus? Yep, that's the plan. Otherwise you have to find like street parking or something somewhere around. And so I was like, maybe I could just use that chaplain like sticker to kind of get in and park like in the parking lot and then walk through the hospital. Like,
Sure. Yeah, I wonder if they must have some clergy thing that you can do. Because I remember at Mercy, you used to, when I didn't work at Mercy and I didn't have access to the ramp, I used to have a little thing that I would carry around, and then I'd sign the back of the ticket and flash it right as I was pulling out, and they'd just let me go for free.
there you go. Yeah, sometimes those things work.
Yeah. So, but to get back to this one here, sorry.
Yep.
Yeah, like again, think of some bullet points. Maybe we can drill down into like, what are some ways you would like to try to demonstrate? You used the number 3. Demonstrate 3 times. I was able to empathy more.
Yeah, I thought 3 times was just a good,
Yeah.
like to show.
Yeah.
Do one. kind of thing.
Drawing from my personal trauma, maybe you can highlight for yourself some things specific to you, like maybe related to like loss of a loved one, I don't know, alcohol addiction. You know what I mean? I don't know. Again, you think of things that are personal to you that would connect to that, and then those are the things you'll be looking for when you're. That makes sense?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of outside of like, again, like through a verbatim, I could do one. I'm just trying to think of like outside of that context. So like maybe in group conversation, some other things.
Yeah. But it's a short unit, but a long unit. We got some time, and I would just encourage you, like, because I'd like to try to keep these for you, like, as the basis of like how we can help you, through this unit, and I could be a support to you. I find learning goals very important for my own personal development, and all the goals that I've set over the years, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I like the idea of like some of those goals being, I don't know, we were talking a lot about self-care. Self-care is one I did not put on there, but maybe I should have. But, I mean, when it comes to that, it could just be like drinking more water throughout the week, like things like that.
Sure. Yeah. Do you, like, what kind of self-care stuff do you do for yourself?
I don't do enough, and especially when I'm in between things or when I'm currently in a place where I'm trying to get into routine, it takes me a while to get back into any sort of like self-care, because I find I give on all the self-care stuff in order to be places or do things but I mean, I like to at least have some time. Like this past weekend, my wife and I just sort of had a domestic day. That was great.
Yeah.
And it's because I still just try to maintain at least one self-care item of like, having one Sabbath day a week at least. I don't mind if it has to move around a little bit, but that's why I try to be very protective of like, if I'm going to have one self-care day, like this is it.
Yeah. What do you like to do?
Whatever I want. I mean, that's kind of the thing is I use that day to do, like, sometimes I'll take care of like some household things, but I also try to make sure to either get out, watch some Netflix, binge watch TV in that regard. Maybe call and catch up with somebody. Like, it's another opportunity my wife and I have been trying to sort of stretch ourselves in a little bit, like some relationships that we haven't done as well maintaining to like sort of reach back out.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I would encourage you. You got to lean into that stuff. Like that stuff is crucial. I remember when I was starting to go into this process, like I had to write a whole thing up, and I'm like, how are you taking care of yourself? And I realized, like, okay, here's the things that really give me life. Really get my juices going in terms of my own kind of rest and relaxation and meditation and just something that's fun and enjoyable, right? Like the things I can release with. So yeah, I always encourage you. Like those things are important, like crucial. Because even if you just have one self-care day dedicated, right? Specifically, like, this day is me and my wife. That's it. Keep this holy, and you know what I mean. Keep this whatever. But the other days, like you still might want to like take a walk, or you might want to sit and have some meditation time, or read a book, or you know what I mean. Like, because you want to you want to think about how you build that stuff into your day-to-day routine too. So.
And that's the key thing is like building those things into my routine. So.
Every day at Mercy, I go before I get the phone, I go for a walk. When it's cruddy outside, I just walk to the hospital. I got a route. When it's nice outside, I go outside and I walk for a few minutes just to get my brain cleared, get myself ready for the day. And it's a very simple, easy self-care practice, plus it's healthy movement, right? I'm not saying you should do that, but like maybe think of something like that, you know what I mean? Like take 15, 20 minutes just to kind of get yourself centered, whatever that might look like. It's different for all of us.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah.
You gotta do it, man, because otherwise, like, this stuff is just,
I know.
Come at you. It just continues to come at you.
It does.
So.
I heard Father Duke saw you and Brian over there by Jam, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
He was like, I saw Brian and Jonathan over by the zoo. I don't know how the hell they got over there. I was like, they walked. He's like, that's a long haul. I was like, yeah.
We do a lot of walking supervision. I would do walking supervision, but I gotta record, so.
That's fair.
That's,
We just hold it up the whole time.
them's are the rules.
Actually, yeah, get one of those sticks.
Yeah, we could walk like this, that'd be, yeah. I love walking conversations, that's probably one of my favorite,
Oh, yeah.
favorite things, so. Maybe we'll get to do that at some point,
Yeah, sure.
if you feel up to that.
Yeah, no, I'd be up for something like that. I know some of the better conversations I've had with people when I've been stressed out has been like going for a walk and like calling them on the phone.
Some of the best things I've done with like staff, honestly, like staff who are really like stressed out,
Mm-hmm.
we've been called and like, you know, I say, hey, is sitting here helpful for you or do you wanna walk? Like, I remember this one guy who was just having just such a hard time and he was like, oh, okay, that'd be great, can we walk? So we walked, we did a few laps around the hospital, talk about life stuff. So,
That's awesome.
yeah, so I like movement, so it's important to me.
Mm-hmm. I definitely need some more movement in my life.
Mhm.
I've been sitting too stagnant for too long.
All right, man. Well, I think we're right around our time boundary.
All right.
So, if you know there's anything you need from me, please reach out.
Yep.
You'll be at Mercy tomorrow,
Yes.
8 to 4.
Yes.
8 to 4. Okay.
I'm pretty sure that's.
I'll be available through kind of emails and texts if you need anything. Okay.
I think I'm wrong on that. I think I'm actually at Mercy on Saturday.
Oh, Mercy on Saturday. Okay. I trust you and Barb are working it out.
We were.
I am not gonna like what's the word? I'm not like too worried about like the days as long as you're getting your days.
Getting days and hours in. Yeah, but
And as long as you're communicating, that's fine by me.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
No, I'll be in communication with either you and or Barb or Barb.
Yeah. I would just say like if I'll say this to everybody is, if you're sick and you're not feeling well or you need to leave early, let me know one way or the other, and let your preceptor know. That's it.
Yep. Not a problem.
It's something like I feel like it's just a very simple way that way we're all in communication with each other, and then you just determine how you want to make up hours if you miss them for whatever reason.
Exactly, and I'm pretty open to that.
Okay.
All right.
All right, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. All right.